Good rising, we have another day. Good rising, hey, 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 hey. Good rising, we have another day. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. All right, good rising. Uh, Believe it or not, I don't know what time it is, but I slept late this morning and I am still trying to wake up because when I sleep very deeply. Seriously, I sleep very deeply. All right, what is in a name? We're familiar, most of us are, with that question that was asked in the Shakespearean play Romeo and Juliet. And I'm not going to go into what the play was about, but one was saying to the other, what is in a name? Two families, two children of families fell in love. I guess I am going into it. Fell in love, but these families were at odds with each other. The Montagues and the Capulets. Y'all, this I'm digging this up. Okay. uh, and they were having the young man and young woman were having a conversation. I think it was, if I remember it correctly, I think they were talking to each other, and one asked the other in relation to their family. What difference does it make? What is in a name that which is called a rose by any other name would smell as sweet? Okay, that's about all I remember from Shakespeare, from Romeo and Juliet. All right, where do I want to start? John 10:10. Guess I'll start there. Says that a thief cometh not but to steal, to kill, and to destroy. Okay? This is Jesus talking. For those of y'all that believe it in Jesus, this is Jesus talking. The words in the red. He said a thief only comes for three reasons. And I want to define, okay, he said a thief only comes for three reasons: to steal. Now you see it makes sense because scripture says, come now, let us reason together. Because some of y'all have gotten in religion and in the church, and all you know is how something makes you feel. Chill bumps, so it must be right. Or I felt like shouting or dancing or whatever. The music was right, the drummer. That's that's part of ritual. Even when I was in the church, I still listened. Divine never asks you to stop thinking. Even in the scripture that says, uh, don't lean to your own understanding, you have to balance that out with, come now, let us reason together. Line upon line, precept upon precept. Now, I have an accounting background. Why did I choose accounting? Because I like for things to add up, equal, balance out, and make sense. Whether we're talking about numbers, whether we're talking about adherence to a contract, or whether we're talking about what's going on in everyday life. Your pastor and first lady and some of these people in the church may be asking you to blindly follow Jesus, the real one. if there was such. Never asked that. Okay? Come now, let us reason together. He said in John 10 that a thief comes for three reasons: to steal, to kill, and to destroy. We're going to connect some dots. And I looked up just for, I know we know what thief means. And y'all, when I start doing this, I get hot. I have my fan on. Let me turn my air down. Give me just a second. When I start doing this, I get hot. So y'all, my air is going to click on in a minute. All right. Thief comes to kill, steal, and destroy. Merriam-Webster dictionary online, I'm going to define thief. Greetings as you come in. Merriam-Webster dictionary defines a thief as a person who steals property unlawfully. And we're not just talking about houses, cars. We're talking about anything that doesn't belong to a given person. Okay? And it says a person who steals property unlawfully, typically acting by stealth, and we're going to define stealth, or without the owner's consent. And a lot of times we're thinking about tangible property. Okay? And I'm not, hello as you come in, I'm not going to pay attention to the comments. Just know I'm greeting you now because I want to stay on track. I want to get this done as quickly as I can. So a thief, a person who steals property unlawfully, typically acting by stealth or without the owner's consent. And a lot of times we are thinking about tangible things like just property. But we need to place value, and I'm not trying to tell tell people what to do, but value needs to be placed on your being, your mind, soul, and body, because we have people roaming the earth that have birthdays, just like you and I have a birthday. But for some reason, they think they're supposed to be God in your life. And the role that they want you to fit into, that's where they want you. It may have nothing to do with your divine, your God-given, actual God-given purpose. And some of us have taken on roles and played roles, roles, for years, and it's not even you. You were assigned that role. Some people were assigned a role in their family or whatever community they grew up in, a role of, say, Cinderella. Cinderella was a wealthy young woman, but she didn't know it. Her father married a woman. Now, this is just a story, okay? Her father married a woman who became Cinderella's stepmother. The stepmother had two daughters of her own, two biological daughters. When Cinderella's biological father died, he was a man of means. He left provision and money and security for the whole family, but assuredly for his biological daughter. But the stepmother was in control of it, took control of it. And she proceeded, after the father was gone, the stepmother to use the funds for her benefit. Cinderella didn't even know that there was stuff in. She knew who her father was and that he was a man of means, but that she got put into a role by that stepmother who really did not love her, who really had no. Watch the movie. You can't tell me that was love. She had sent the stepmother had Cinderella washing their clothes, do that was the maid cleaning up. If there were events that she didn't want Cinderella to be seen, but she wanted herself and her daughters to be seen. Okay, but Cinderella was supposed to be at home. This is a wealthy woman who is entitled by blood, DNA, to the wealth that was left by the father, her father, but something with that didn't even have the blood of the DNA took it over. And some of us have been put in that role. They had Cinderella as a maid, wearing the ragged clothes, going through stuff emotionally and mentally, trying to take her down, didn't want her to have self-esteem, knew where she came from, knew her DNA, and knew she was actual royalty. But no, this is the role I want you to play. I want you to check my oil. I know you're a female, like I am, says the stepmother, but I want you in the role of checking my oil. My floor needs mopping. I want you to mop it. It's not enough that you give me for $400 a month and it's only a temporary deal. That's not enough. I need you to do this. I need to make you feel like there's something abnormal about you. If you go to the restroom, and I'm sorry, y'all, this is a trigger, but this is supposed to help people, okay? And sometimes you got to get into the trenches to help. And I'm going to say some stuff. If you go to the restroom and handle your business, that is not a pleasant uh, aroma. And you therefore you keep sprays in the bathroom, you let your window up in the bathroom so it can air out and all of that. But the stepmother wanted Cinderella to feel like if she went to the restroom, oh honey, there was just something so totally abnormal about her handling her business. I don't want to get too much into it because I don't want to be vile, but these things are happening. And I'm talking about how people try to play with the mind. A thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. Yes, property. Because somebody who would try to take you down mentally and doesn't want you to have boundaries, healthy boundaries, mentally, physically, and emotionally, your personage. And once you open an open gate in the mind and in the spirit to be able to just run roughshod because of stuff they went through and never healed from, and they want to be able to, when they feel like they need to, get fire up their John Deere tractor and roll all over the garden of your life to make themselves feel better. That kind of person will actually steal tangible things from you. I'm talking already. Well, now I should, because I'm 14 minutes in. A thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. Think about your relationships. Let me define stealth. Let me go. Okay. I'm gonna read the definition of thief again. It says a person who steals property unlawfully, typically acting by stealth, stealth, without the owner's consent. Now let's define stealth. Merriam-Webster's dictionary says that stealth is a cautious, secretive, and quiet method of proceeding to avoid detection, often using concealing or low observable technology. Now, this is speaking, okay, it involves moving. This is a quote. It involves moving, operating, or acting undetected. And what helps a person act undetected if they're evil, low vibrational, for some of you who don't like the word evil, and don't and a person has a motives or agenda of actually wrecking somebody's life and trying to take them out. If a person's heart is like that, what better way to go undetected than by being in the church? I'm talking right now. You don't have to like it. If I've done my job, by the time I finish this, everybody should be mad, except people who really like truth. I don't tend to do much in between. I'm 57. This will be my 58th year on Gaia. And I have come to understand some things about myself, and it is in accordance with my purpose. I either make people really happy or really mad or upset or uncomfortable. Stealth. It involves moving, operating, or acting undetected, frequently applied to military technology designed to evade radar or detection. Or in business and political contexts, stealth is used to hide motives. A thief is not trying to, and think about your relationships now. A thief doesn't come to build up your self-esteem. A thief doesn't come to build you up. They come to take away, to tear down. In your relationships, what the people that you are in relationship with, what do they say to you? I know we have disagreements in relationships. We're human beings. But somebody who is in your life, and there are people, we know the saying, there are people that are in your life for a reason, a season, and all of that. But the people in your life, how do they talk to you? I've raised 2 children. I have a son and a daughter who are now in their 30s. I have never, even when they were young, I have never talked to them in a downing way. I've had to be a mom. I've had to do mom things, say mom things, but I tried to say it in a way, and I'm not perfect, but as a history, I've tried to say it in a way that builds them. Even if it was an unpleasant conversation that needed to be had, my goal was to build them. Not make them feel down on themselves to the point where they would want to take themselves out after a period of time. Not from the words coming out of my mouth to my children, to people I gave birth to. Okay? It says a thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And we're talking about the personage. And I've already said, yes, we're talking about things, because a person who will talk to you any kind of way, who will run roughshod all over your boundaries and don't think that your boundaries need to be respected, yes, they will steal tangible things from you. Now, let's go over here to Matthew 12 and 48. Because here's the thing, these texts were found. I've said this before. Uh, these texts were found by people who are relatively new to the earth. And they have proceeded to compile, add to, and take away from these texts. And they have also given the original people it was to, because the original people forsook wisdom and took a fall. They forsook valuing who and what they are and took a fall and forgot their identity and could therefore be told anything. These people who found these texts and manipulated them have also given their interpretation of what they mean. It's my understanding that the original unaltered books and texts are over there under the Vatican. So when you come on here asking me about Jesus, how you can love Jesus more, and think that that's supposed to make me upset, mentioning Jesus like I'm just supposed to start growling or something, I don't believe in y'all's version of a Jesus. What's been handed down by people, by a species that just recently got here, that found stuff that does not belong to them and have proceeded to make the best sense out of it that they can, and then given their interpretation of things. And I need to see original books. I'm still not buying an Old and a New Testament. Okay? But we're going to go with what's here, because you can still get truths out of it. Matthew 12, starting at verse 46. It says, while he yet talked to the people, Jesus was teaching. He was on a teaching the people. Behold, his mother and his brethren, his relatives, stood without, desiring to speak with him. Now, Jesus, here he is. I want you all to see the disrespect. Here he is. Look at verse 12, even chapters, even if you, and I know it didn't go like this, but even if we're just looking at chapters, chapter 12 is long, and he did a lot of teaching and talking in this. Just like I said, I know it didn't fall out or happen like this, but just go with the story and look at it and get the point that's being taken. He was on a whole teach in the middle of his sermon. And here comes his relatives. I want you to see the disrespect. His mother, not some distant relatives, his mother and his brothers came up wanting to talk with him like he's just supposed to stop what he's doing. He's on assignment. Divine assignment. Not the position the family wanted him to play. Oh yeah, that's Jesus. That's our brother. That's that's my son. And yeah, there's a whole mystery about how he even got here. Okay, you can't really listen to him. It's in here. You can't really listen to him because he kind of, because his origins and stuff, we really don't know. This is the brothers. We really don't know where he came from. Here they are rolling up, acting like he's supposed to put his mic down and stop talking in the middle of his teach, which is divine assignment, to go talk to them. To go to the door to see what his mother and brothers and stuff wanted. In the middle of his sermon now. I want you to see the disrespect. And I want you to relate it. Because there's a portion of scripture where I think it was Paul says that we have a high priest. Now I'm coming back to Christianity for just a minute to connect something for those of y'all that call yourself Christians. Says we have not a high priest who's not been touched in all points and areas that we. It means that this person knows how some people in your life can be. He in the middle of his teach. I'm stressing it. In the middle of divine purpose, here comes mama and his brothers thinking he should just stop what he doing, divine assignment, to come see what they want. Verse 47, then one said unto him, behold, thy mother and thy brethren stand without, desiring to speak with thee. Verse 48, but this is boundaries. Because see, the church, this is what I'm saying. I don't buy everything the church is talking about. I don't buy most of it, their interpretation. Jesus said in verse 48, but he answered and said unto him, and that told him, who is my mother? And who are my brethren? At one point in my journey, I would read that and I thought it was disrespectful, especially coming from the culture I come from. I'm what they call African American. And I know that my community is certain segments of it is off the charts with disrespect and all kinds of stuff going on in the community. You take one community and one man may be a whole unit, a whole, what do you call a whole community unit, different apartment of people's for children's father. I understand there's a segment of my community that is out there. And that's the segment of my community that gets focused on by media. But there is a segment still to this day, 2026, of my people who still have a culture of respect for elders, even when the elders don't really deserve that respect. But Jesus is setting a boundary here when his folks came in the middle of his teach, like he was just supposed to stop teaching, and said, who is my mother? And who is my brethren? And it's time for us to ask that question in our relationships, because then he went on to say, for whosoever, verse 50, verse 49, he stretched forth his hand and told his disciples and said, behold, he pointed at his disciples and the people who had come to listen to him teach and share divine knowledge and wisdom. He said, behold, look, these are my mother and brother and sister. Verse 50 says, for whosoever shall do the will of my Father, or the will of divine, which is in heaven, the same is my mother and my brother and my sister. We can't help who we're related to. And there is a school of thought, and I'm not saying I believe this. Y'all, this is going to be, I'm seeing because I'm already 30 minutes in. There is a school of thought, and I'm not saying that I subscribe to it, but there is a school of thought that says that people have lifetimes, that people reincarnate. There's a school of thought that says that people can come back in lifetimes. And if they were an enemy in prior lifetimes, they can come back in a current lifetime and still be an enemy. But they may reincarnate as your mother. They may reincarnate as your father, or a sibling, or a cousin. Okay, so just something to think about, because one thing about it, we have birthdays. If you're a human being on earth, we have birthdays. And we go through a process of forgetting to come back here, okay, or to come here. So what are you saying? We don't know everything. I know in Christianity, we're taught that it's this and it's nothing this. Is this or is hell. That's not true. There are things taking place and have taken place on the earth that religion can't explain. Jesus said, my mother and my brother, and he didn't stop what he was doing other than to say this, because he had boundaries. Just because you're supposedly this to me doesn't mean I'm going to stop what I'm doing or that I owe you some kind of allegiance, particularly when you are and are being disrespectful, as in this example, and have been disrespectful up until this point. What is in a name? Okay, now let's go back, and I'm winding it up. I'm almost done. Let's go back. So in essence, Jesus was saying, my brother, my community are people who respect, who have the same agenda. We're like-minded, high vibrational, and we want to carry out our divine assignments. That's my community. That's my mother and brother, and people who respect my boundaries. That's my mother, brother, father, my relatives. People who respect boundaries. That's what Jesus was saying in what we just read. And this is the kind of stuff that the church, if y'all insist on staying open, needs to teach. Somebody's in the course standing up right now in the service to running down Malachi, will a man rob God? You need to be talking about this. And then get a 9 to 5 passer. Because you need something to do. Going back to John, what do I need? John 10. Going back over there. See, we'll start at verse 7, and believe it or not, I'm almost done. Jesus said over here, John 10, start at verse 7. Boundaries have a door. This is where I'm going. And it's truth and straightforwardness. Honesty. Remember, a thief has a motive and they snake their way. They don't just say what they want when they come around you. If someone in your life wants to rob from you, steal from you, kill you, they got to get close enough to you to do it. Hello? Knock, knock. And in doing that, thief, murderer, destroyer is not going to be written for you on their forehead. When they come to get close to you, it's going to look like they're for you. Now, there will be, I'm telling you from experience, there will be signs underneath that sheep Halloween costume they have on, because it's a costume. The sheep is the costume. And I'm telling you, there are going to be signs of a wolf being under that costume. Okay, John 10 and 7 says, then said Jesus unto them again, verily, verily, or truly, I say unto you, I am the door of the sheep. All that ever came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep do not hear them. Verse 9. I am the door. And there's another, in one of the other gospels, it actually talks about the thief will find other ways to climb over and get to the sheep, or in essence, to find other ways to get in to relationship, to get with you, to get around you, so what they can do, what their hidden motive really is: to steal, to kill, and to destroy. But a genuine person that wants relationship with you, an honest relationship with you, comes through the door of your boundaries, and they respect them. They let your yes be yes, they let your no be no. If you tell them you can't accommodate them at this time because you can't come from out of town to stay with them for a week because you have a toddler that just started kindergarten, and you can't come at this time to stay with you and bring the kids just because your neighbor died and you scary. Let me tell you something. Scary and evil don't go together. I'm saying it for a reason. Scary and evil don't go together. That's a choose ye this day. Now, if I was going to be dark, and when I'm saying dark, I'm talking about low vibrational. If I was going to be dark, I would have to come to terms with myself to say, you know what, I'm dark. I'm on the dark side. But see, some of y'all that operate like that, you can't even tell yourself that. You done fooled around and you doing stuff in the church, and you actually think you're good. And you know down in the exhilarated carburetor of your soul, you are evil. I can't help what board you're on in the church. So people who want actual relationship with you, genuine, authentic relationship with you, come through the door that Jesus is talking about. They come through your boundaries. Again, they let your yes be yes and your no be no. And if you tell them you can't accommodate them at this time because you have this going on, they respect that because they know that over time, and that's what friendships and quality family relationships, it takes time. Time will tell the story, honey. That's what I like about it. Time, that's why I say I can wait on it. Because see, when time gets through washing and rinsing, if a person possesses the ability to tell themselves the truth, time will wash it and rinse, hang it out to dry, and you can see what's what. Or use bleach on what needs to be used bleach on, and will have your whites and your colors sorted out. I'm talking about clothes, and then I'm talking about relationships too. Time will do that. Relationships, real authentic relationships, take time and a history of respecting each other's boundaries. And when things come up, disagreements and things, time will show how a person deals with those things. And if they can still come to you and come to the table with respect, or if something went awry, because we're all human and we made a mistake, we got hot-headed and said something we really didn't want or shouldn't have said, a person who wants genuine relationship with you can own that. Okay, so Jesus said, I am the door of the sheep. All that came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not hear them. They weren't supposed to. If you have been identified as a thief and a robber in somebody's life and they cut you off, why are you mad? Why are you upset? Why are you out trying to do damage control with the family and the community and friend group, trying to explain why so-and-so is not dealing with you? Stop being evil. And for some of you, your cup of iniquity is about 5 decades too full for there ever to be reconciliation. I'm not just talking about me right now. Somebody needs this. That's the only reason I'm doing these type of videos. He said, I'm the door, boundaries. All that ever came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not hear them. Verse 9, I am the door, and by me, if any man enter, he shall be saved. Okay, what's the door? Let's talk about this door. And y'all, I promise you, I'm almost finished. What's this door? He said, I'm the door. Didn't Jesus say, oh, did I write that down? Yeah. Did I not write that down? I thought I did. The door, because I was going to run you over there. But I'll just tell you. Didn't Jesus say, he said he's the door. What's the door? Let's talk about it. Didn't he say, I am the way, the truth, and the life? Truth is the door. Hello. You can't have an authentic relationship with somebody lying to them. An omission of information, I don't know if you know it. Some of y'all done lived too long not to know it. Omission of truth is lying. How do you expect to have an authentic relationship with somebody and you ain't telling them the truth? Truth is the door. And particularly when I'm going back to my community, because we like to hide stuff. We'll go to our graves, so a lot of us, with things that people left behind have a right to know. What if they go to the hospital and need blood? And they over here asking so-and-so, I'm having a medical emergency and I need some blood. Do you mind? Because we first cousins. And come to find out, no, you're not. Or you call and it's sibling, I need this, or do you mind doing this for me? Because I think we should be compatible. And I know that doesn't always mean y'all just because you're related. But it's a good start. It's supposed to be. And okay, I'm on my way up there. And come to find out you ain't related at all. Or if you are, it's distant. The door is truth. If you trying to evade and get around people's boundaries that have stopped fooling with you and have cut you off for very good reason, stop calling and trying to find a way to get in touch unless you are calling, writing, emailing, texting to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God. I'm talking, I know I am. Calling to apologize, and still not telling the truth about what needs to be talked about. not just mundane situations that went awry, but telling the truth about why you act so strange that you ain't really who somebody thought you were to them. That's the only reason to be calling and texting. And the same way you can find a way to and know the address to send somebody a supposed peace offering is the same way you can write a letter telling the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, and send it to that same address along with their documents from their real people. This isn't a game. See, if this was a game and we weren't supposed to take this in line upon line, precept upon precept, and apply it to life, our internal life, and coming to balance and becoming a higher vibrational being, and learning how to operate accountability, because I'm gonna close out with that, because Jesus even talked about accountability in relationships. I'm getting ready to show that. While y'all over there getting high in the spirit and then leaving thinking everything's all right, and you still a liar. You still a thief. You still a destroyer that went to somebody and wanted to put a spell on somebody to have them in turmoil to the point where they wanted to take them out. That's still you. I don't care how many chill bumps. Your ability to feel chill bumps does not make you okay with God. Jesus said he was the door, and then he said that door, he said, I'm the way, I'm the truth. If this was not supposed to be taken and dealt with for one's internal, and then also as a gauge, because scripture says that your word is a lamp to my feet and a light into my pathway. Somebody forgot to tell me to take it, to not take it seriously, because I took it seriously. Last thing, and I'm out of here. Accountability and conflict resolution. Jesus talked about it. See, this is the kind of stuff that needs to be talked about and taught. But instead of it saying your pastor telling you live under a New Testament, but steady running you back to Malachi, talking about you robbing God. This is the kind of stuff y'all need to be talking about and teaching, so people can learn how to live their lives, how to do the inner healing they need to do, and become a balanced being. And a lot of y'all pastors, you need to become a balanced being yourself. And I'm going to say it again. A lot of y'all need a 9 to 5. Because your actual care for people has long left you. Ichabod. You need a 9 to 5. Because this is what needs to be, so people can heal on the inside and then learn how to deal with relationships. But somebody right now, what is it, 12 something, is in the midst of standing up before the congregation in pride and arrogance, talking about shall a man rob God? Matthew, accountability and conflict resolution, Matthew 18, and this is my closing. And my purpose is to cut, but not just to cut. Isn't there a portion of scripture that says that where the God says, I have broken you, and now I'm going to build you up and bind you back together, put you back like you should be, and you'll feel better than you've ever felt in your life, but I'm going to crush you first. Isn't that what he said? I'm paraphrasing. So if I have cut you, good, but I didn't come to cut you just to cut you. I came to cut you to get that infection out so you can heal properly. Because yes, you've been through a lot. I'm fixing to tell my age now. I love some bionic woman and some $6 million man. And the $6 million man and the opening of that show ties right in with Ezekiel 37 in my mind, where God says, Son of man, can these bones live? And then in the opening coming on of $6 million man, where he had that bad accident and they thought he was going to die, but they had him on the operating table and they were asking, can we save him? And the reply was, yes, we can rebuild him. That's my assignment, and I'm going to do it. Matthew 18, 18. And this is conflict resolution while y'all are teaching in the church. And this is my closing. This is the last thing. While y'all are teaching in the church, that all relationships, especially family relationships, are for life. No, they're not. Depend on purpose and assignment. And to be godly and to be walking in divine favor and stuff, you have to be in relationship with so and so because that's your this and that's your that. No, lies y'all telling. Accountability. And if someone is not willing to be truthfully, 100% truthfully accountable, to hell with them. Matthew 18, starting at verse 15, says, Moreover, if thy brother shall trespass against thee, go and tell him his fault between thee and him alone. If this is in red now, y'all swear y'all believe Jesus, that you believe the whole Bible, even though it's been altered, the 66 books, and there's so many more books that go with it, but you swear that you a Christian, that you believe the whole Bible, that you even believe the maps and the table of contents. This is in red. Says, moreover, if thy brother shall trespass against thee, go and tell him his fault between thee and him alone. If he hear thee, thou hast gained thy brother. Verse 16, that's step 1. But if he will not hear thee, then take with thee, step 2, 1 or 2 more, that in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every word may be established. That's step 2. And if he shall neglect to hear them, then tell it unto the church or the community or social media. But if he neglect and still won't tell the truth and come clean about this great mystery, this isn't just about a spat at a lunch or some mundane stuff. That was only representative of a cycle that's been going on for decades. And until you come clean and are ready to tell the truth, I'm on step 3 or 4. But if he neglect to hear the church, let him be unto thee as an heathen man and as a publican. And if I'm not mistaken, they didn't want to be seen with them. Cut off the relationship. This has been Yvette with Yvette's Turn. I don't know where y'all are. A lot of you, I don't know where you are. And I don't care to find out anymore. This has been Yvette with Yvette's Turn. To those that are high vibrational and peaceful and living in truth. Love y'all. And hope this helped you. And if this message could be of a help to somebody you know, please share it with them. I know it's long, okay? Because I get tired of talking. So, but yeah, share it with them. Because we want to see people actually healed. and be able to be at peace by themselves with nobody looking. Okay? We'll talk later.